Charter Local Edition with your host, John MacDonald.
Hello, we are visiting today with Representative Denise Hayman from House District 66. Welcome, Representative. Appreciate you coming by today.
Well, thank you. I'm pleased to be here.
Well, good. Tell us a little bit about your district and the folks that you represent.
Well, I represent House District 66, and it is a long and narrow district. It encompasses all of the old downtown in Bozeman and a few blocks north and south. And it ends at Rouse, and on the other end, on the west end, it ends at Cottonwood. So it's a big part of the downtown business district in Bozeman.
And we're at the State Democratic Convention in Bozeman, so you didn't have to travel very far today.
That's right,
nice.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the issues that you were involved in during the 2015 legislature. And K through 12 education funding was a huge issue. Let's talk a little bit about that and some of the issues you had there.
Sure. I have been on the Bozeman School Board for 14 and a half years and was elected and sent to Helena, and was asked by the Office of Public Instruction to introduce the first school inflation funding bill that is part of Lou Jones' original bill last session, SB 175. Mm-hmm. And this bill was House Bill 27, and it is an automatic inflation on per student, per quality educator, Indian programs. So it was a huge bill. It was $54 million. And I was very proud to introduce this bill. And amazingly, because it was introduced so early, it passed, and we were all delighted. I've been in education, as I said, for 14 years, and I've never seen a school inflation bill pass so quickly. And
shows when you get things done early, it seems to have a little bit better outcome sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And why is that an important issue? Why should Montanans see that as an important issue?
Well, it gives school districts peace of mind, so they know when a bill like that passes what their budgets are going to be come May when they have to go to the voters, if they have to go to the voters. So oftentimes that information is not known to school districts when they have to put the ballot together, and they have to really guess. This time, because we knew that early on, it was very helpful for school districts, and it benefits kids.
Another issue I think you were quite heavily involved in too was the governor's pre-K education. Is that correct?
Correct.
Talk a little bit about what that is and the status and outcome of that.
Well, it is, we're one of, I think, only 4 states that do not have a pre-K program. And it would provide 4-year-olds the opportunity to have an educational program before they go to kindergarten. And the research out there is huge that if you invest in the front end, which is pre-K, that the benefits are huge for children. So by the time they graduate from high school, you can see huge benefits in terms of if they go on to higher ed or technical or whatever their choices are. So it's a win-win. It was about $20 million, and we felt that that was an excellent investment in our children. Unfortunately, it did not pass, but I think it's a process of educating the legislators, and I'm hoping that next session we will move forward with that.
There's always the adage that if at first you don't succeed, try again. So you believe this is something that will probably come up in the 17th session?
I'm sure. Well, it's a huge need in our state, and we need to take care of our children. What
do you think would be a different approach moving forward? Is there another idea being floated at this point?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know if there's talk about a different funding formula, or, each community, it wouldn't be mandatory. Each community would have to decide if that worked for them. For example, in Bozeman, we do not have classroom space. We are bursting at the seams, so to speak. So we would be working in conjunction with private entities, businesses, to move forward with that. Each community is different, and the bill allowed that kind of flexibility. So I'm hoping that this bill will come back maybe in a little different form, and we can get more support.
Another issue that you've been looking at is looking at ways to fund infrastructure. Talk about some of the options that you've been looking at and are considering and potentially bringing back in 2017.
Sure. I was hugely disappointed we did not pass House Bill 416, which was the big infrastructure bill, and went away and started talking to Chris Kukowski, city manager from Bozeman, and we talked about the needs in Bozeman in particular. And the county, Gallatin County, has the authority with voter support to incur a tax, a 2-cent tax. Cities and towns do not. And so I started talking to Chris about that limitation, and he put together some figures for me. In 2014, it would have meant over $700,000 in money to the city that could have been spent on roads and transportation, bike roads, you know, that whole thing. And I realized that as a legislature, we were not willing to pass a infrastructure bill. Is there another way to address this? And I came up with the option to introduce a bill that would allow towns and cities to go to the voters for a 2% tax on gasoline.
And that would go specifically for infrastructure?
That would go specifically to infrastructure. There would be some sort of sunset on the bill. And I think if you look at communities, whether they're growing or not, they still have a lot of tourists coming. And those tourists are driving on our roads. They don't have to pay anything to drive on our roads, but they fill up with gas. And this would be a way to have them pay their fair share.
Sure.
So it ultimately, oftentimes, is the homeowner living on a particular street that incurs that responsibility. And so this spreads that out. So everybody is paying a little share of that cost.
Right, and it's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
We've been visiting today with Representative Denise Hayman from Bozeman. I want to thank you again for stopping by and taking a little time to visit with us.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Charter Local Edition has been an exclusive presentation of Charter Communications, providing original programming.